Welcome to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman, the podcast that deals with the early life of J.R. Hendrick in a narrated format. Welcome to the podcast where we give it the old college try. Well, I thank you, J.R. Welcome with me, as always, is my alter ego, J.R. Hendrick. We're going to get us some ice cold lemon lime soda, and we're going to talk about this. A lot of it really is a mix of business and political. And you're probably thinking, why, if it's a college try, why is it business and political? Well, you gotta think. At this point in my life, I'm a law school student. First year. That's college. And me and Daddy, me and Kristen, and Mama and Daddy, making our attempt to try. Let's go ahead and open up our drinks, and we'll drink to certain points of this. Toast to the old college try. Okay? And I hope you enjoy this. Because the next episode is going to be kind of light on material in some ways. So let me go ahead and go. Technology, come on. This thing is frustrating. Come on. There we go. Giving the old college try of technology right now. It's not. There, okay. That's not what I want. Oh. Still working. For some reason, having some I need you to be patient. For some reason, technology is not wanting to cooperate at all. There we go. Okay. All right. Almost there, guys, I promise. It's just, here we go. So we cut to the hotel in Dallas, Fort Worth. In Fort Worth, Kristen calls her maternal grandfather to let her know that she is in town. Her grandmother had a different approach to the relationship with JR. Now, 1 p.m. Eastern, Mike Ellis walks into the Clinton presidential suite in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please sit, Mike. Let me introduce you to Michigan State Senator Hastrid the Loeb and Alexander Bratton. The latter is waiting for his package coming in from the airport. What do you know? Hendrick has accepted your audience request that the media is switching over to your side due to some polling data. When I speak tonight, I'm going to have them eating out of my hand. Nothing that podunk idiot can do from Louisiana. Okay, so it's 3 p.m. Central from Mary Jane. Betsy is listening to the radio when she hears the news that McGraw family crime boss Claude Whitmo was in the hospital in Shreveport, believed to be almost killed by his wife Catalina. She takes out her checkbook and writes out a check for $19,000 towards his medical bills. Then she hands it to a courier to drive to Shreveport. 8 p.m. As his parents are campaigning in Baton Rouge, JR and Kristen sit with Betty and Larry Spalding, listening to Bill Brittley talking about the high price of freedom and striving for excellence in business. 11 p.m. JR and Kristen hold each other in the hotel room. A room set aside for them with their sponsor, Kelly. All right. September 14th. 9 a.m. Central. 9 a.m. Central. JR and Kristen are invited to come sit up higher with Bruce and Pauline McGraw. JR is mesmerized with the fact that Bill Brittley had the American flag hoisted top, front, and center in the middle of his morning training about business and patriotism. Meanwhile, his father, at the same time, is spellbinding his audience on the stage in Baton Rouge before they were to take off for New Orleans. Jerry, you want to give some insights here? Daddy was campaigning up in Louisiana for senatorial candidate Woody Jenkins. Unfortunately, he didn't get the election. Which is sad. 1 p.m. The Hendrick entourage get some food from the concession stand and go back to the bedroom, and Larry Spalding is bone tired, so he falls asleep. 2 p.m. Jim's jet arrives in New Orleans for him to make rounds of speeches for the rest of the weekend before they had to return to Washington, D.C. 5 p.m. Back in the hotel room, Betty is having the hardest time trying to wake up Larry to get ready to go grab dinner and head towards the evening training at the convention center. 7:30 p.m. At the Emma Star Free Enterprise Weekend, recognition are coming down the line for those who have reached regional director, regional vice president, and senior vice president. JR has managed to achieve quite a bit of business, even without Kristen. Something which, at some point, made her very jealous. Carol, what is it about some spouses who are jealous of a husband's success? It causes many marriage problems, often leads to divorce, or sometimes even worse. I know. September 15th. Okay. 7 a.m. Central. Jim and Betsy have breakfast at the Ritz-Carlton in New Orleans. Jim wants to have one last morning speech before he took off with Betsy of his dream team, along with his uncle and aunt, to return back to Washington, D.C. by 4 p.m. At 11 a.m. Jim does a power-packed speech on behalf of senatorial candidate Woody Jenkins. He wants him to be the next U.S. Senator from Louisiana. 1 p.m. Central. They were in Fort Worth. JR is taking copious notes about how to handle his business affairs, Larry and Betty couldn't help but notice how enthused JR and Kristen were. Right. PM. JR is still very enthused. So he sits with the Spaldings and several other meetings in the team as the conference rounds down. 4 p.m. Eastern. The Hendrick plane lands at Reagan International Airport, and everyone goes out to their separate cars, excepting Uncle Isaac and Aunt Rebecca, who goes with Jim and Betsy. Who goes in a Cadillac car. 5 p.m. The conference being over, JR is anxious to get back to his studies and back to his business. 7:10 p.m. The Hendrick and Amistar party takes off from DFW Airport, bound to head back for Lubbock International Airport. Okay. September 16th, if we can find it. Here we go. September 16th, 8 a.m. Eastern. Jim is meeting with Noel Elrod, senior aide to Senator Bob Dole, explaining who all he needed to support his supportability for small business, naming senators from the state of Indiana, Pennsylvania, Colorado, and Alaska for that kind of support. 9 a.m. Eastern. Betsy meets with Bethany Horowitz to prepare what was to be their last reception in honor of Supreme Court Clerk Barbara Holland. 1 p.m. Eastern. Betsy is in the kitchen when the phone rings, and it's JR. Mama, as soon as Daddy gets back, which we know is going to be real soon, how about we plan to have Grandma's will read? You said you weren't ready, Betsy said. Mama, that was much earlier this year. I'd like to see it read, at least sometime before the 1-year anniversary after her death, JR said. You and Christine, you both better stop, do you? So, Betsy is feeling the pressure. Because obviously, JR, I didn't know this, but while I was in Fort Worth and Mom and Dad's in Louisiana, Christine would constantly text Mama saying she wanted Grandma's Will read. 2 p.m. Central. JR is studying in his condo when his phone rings. It's his father. Look, I just got a call from your Uncle Carl. As we were handling back from Baton Rouge, from New Orleans last night, Jim said. What's on your mind, Daddy? Gerald said. You are going to take some of that dough from your Uncle Carl. You got 3 business associates to help you along the way in your business, Gerald said. You said no, Gerald said. Now, I gotta say, we're gonna take a drink of this. Because, once again, JR you're challenging your father. Why is that? I was taught at an early age that I had to challenge my father in order to get some affection. Personally, I wouldn't mind if you disobeyed me every once in a while. Tim said, an obvious sign of things to come. Ooh. Did you notice that, JR? Yep. The calm before the big storm. 4 p.m. Eastern. Back at 14 Heritage Gate, Jim is readying his dream team for his big speech tomorrow night at Ascension Christian College. What happened over the next few hours was unbelievable. I went over to Bruce and Paula's house to field some calls. But then I started to get pretty sick. Really bad bellyache. So I called Carmen to come take me home. 8 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy have what is to be one of their last receptions together in Washington, D.C. I hate to see someone as good as you have to walk out of power. Millard Hollum said. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Maybe that's why he felt like he had to step down, the Supreme Court clerk said. He's ready to get back to his business and family in Texas, Betsy said. I still can't help but feel that you think forced out. Uncle Isaac said, "Honey, if he wants to leave, let him leave," Aunt Rebecca said. "It's sad, but how long do you have?" Mrs. Holland said. "Less than 2 weeks. And then gone," Jim said. Now, September 18th, 7/18, okay, this is 17th. It's 1 p.m. Jim is meeting with a small team of accountants getting ready for the financial and legislative meetings of the EAA functions. The good news was, JR, that the SBA administrator was not present. No, Daddy set in Bill Mayer to be the second in command. And he was more, less wanting to be in control and more, how do I say it, more moderate. 3 p.m. Central. From his condo, JR picks up the phone and calls his Uncle Carl. "Thanks for the money," JR said. "We gave to you much more. Myself and Donna are going to be business associates. And Kyle and Marty behind us are going to be business associates of yours. And we also have another couple that is 2 blocks over." "Thank you," Gerald said. 5 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy and Isaac and Rebecca are having dinner together for getting ready for Jim's speech at Ascension Christian College. 7:30 p.m. Central. After the 30-minute presentation, Elias Grace stood up for a few more minutes. "I want to introduce you to the newest executive team leader in America, J.R. Hendrick, who has ran 5 customers and 2 downline. This makes him, both him and his girlfriend, Kristen, ETLs," Elias said, as a thunderous applause hit when JR hit the stage. 9:40 p.m. Eastern. The Hendrick entourage arrived back in Washington, back at 14 Heritage Gate after Jim's speech at the Ascension Christian College. 6:30 a.m. Central. With Kristen having breakfast with her producers, JR decided that he wanted to do is grab some cinnamon rolls at the Holy Spirit Club. Okay. 9 a.m. Central. JR is going to see his Christian psychiatric analyst, Dr. Claude Walker. Tell me how you've been doing, Walker asked JR as he walked in. Not too bad. Kristen and I managed to get away to Fort Worth for the weekend for a business conference. Seems that both our families had put in their 10 cents. Sadly, this is a commentary on America. How are you doing physically? Those damn tummy aches. They just don't let go. Alright? I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to monitor you for the next couple of weeks. Come back in a couple of weeks. And if the Prozac is still doing this, I'll taper it off a little. 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Jim is testifying before the House Committee on Small Business. Luckily, Chairman Archer had given the rules that there could be no frivolous questions on the Democrat side. 1 p.m. Eastern. The financial meeting of the EAA goes without incident, with Jim and Bill Mayer being co-chairs. 2 p.m. Eastern. Jim meets with his assistant, Rachel Boyce, to discuss the press release for today. Remember what I said. I want you to change policy to strategy, Jim said. Well, right, boss, Boyce said. Rachel Boyce said. Okay, so now it's 3:50 p.m. JR walks out of Lanier Hall to head back to the condo before the devotional. 8 p.m. Central. Eastern. 6 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy, Isaac and Rebecca have dinner with the Dream Team. It was to be a good time for everyone. Betsy was to be returning back to Midland on the morning of the 20th. 9:50 p.m. Central. Jail returns from the devotional. And holds Kristen for another 30 minutes before returning to his condo. What happened on the 19th was incidental. I worked mostly on my studies and spent a lot of time with Kristen. September 20th, 6:20 a.m. Central. Kristen's band is playing. Kristen's band plane takes off for DFW Airport for a concert she had tonight in Irving, Texas. 8:30 p.m. Betsy says goodbye. 8:30 a.m. Central. Betsy goes goodbye for one more time and steps out of 14 Heritage Gate, taking her car to drive to the airport and getting onto the charter plane that was to take her directly to Midland. 10 a.m. As Betsy's plane is 30 minutes in the air, she picks up the phone and calls Fern. I said we get together Tuesday with our man's money, and we go do some shopping, Betsy said. You and Jim don't mind? Getting away? Fern said. It's the last hurrah. A show of force. A battle Jim figures. It would be better if I wasn't there. All right. I'll call you and we'll come up with a place to meet, Fern said. "10 a.m. Central. In civil procedure class, Professor Wade Francis walks up to the pulpit platform. Welcome back. Today, we study the case of Isaacson versus Travis County. J.R. Hendrick, won't you give us of your knowledge of the Texas Supreme Court holding? The court particularly held it's stipulated that poor case management on the part of Isaacson at trial is no excuse for reversal on part of the county eviction. Craig Isaacson and his bakery, J.R. said. And scene. It's not really one of my better. It's a good episode. It's a lovely episode, but it's not really one of my better ones. I give it a 3.1 lemon lime sodas, a weekend business convention, and cinnamon rolls. JR. 3 lemon lime sodas, a business convention, and some cinnamon rolls. All right. Hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets more interesting from here.